Okay, so welcome. We're now going to cover what a parent or paraprofessional can do with spelling words if they don't really know the sounds well, and their kid may or may not know. Your child may or not be exposed. It helps if the child's exposed to phonics. I'll show you why. But this is not a full-scale spelling program, but if you got your list of 10, 15 words, this is one way to approach it. And I want you to know this is just one way to approach it. So I'm going to get my list of words. This is a list I brought from second, third grade words. Okay. So these are some of the words the child needs to know for the spelling test on Friday. Now, before I get there, I just want to make a comment that spelling is much harder than reading. In reading, you are matching a code to a language that's already in your head. So as you're sounding out a word, you unlock words, which makes it easier because if you're trying to go, the girls were in an argument makes sense. You're unlocking language that's in your head. Whereas spelling, if you don't have a picture of the word, which requires that your word form area is firing, okay? Real quick on that. Spellers that are excellent spellers pick up the phonics intrinsically, and they also have a part of the brain in the back of their ear called the fusiform gyrus or word form area that helps them remember words. Kids who have fuzzy sounds, kids who are dyslexic or just kids who are just having trouble spelling are not stimulating this back area, so they don't take pictures of words. And they have trouble with the code. They have trouble organizing the code. So the combination makes spelling really difficult. And every year they fall behind, they're falling behind thousands of words. And as you get older, it's almost impossible to catch up. That's why as we get to older kids at 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I teach them how to do dictation software, where I teach them how to dictate, how to first tell the story with periods with me, how then dictate it. And lo and behold, suddenly they are getting things that are written properly with correct spelling. So I teach them how to use that in combination with written spelling. So, but let's just say that you're a parent, you're not really sure where your kid is. Maybe they picked up a little phonics nod, but you got a list and they're not doing well on Friday. So let me put the list back up. Okay, here is the word today. So here's how I'll do it. George, you be my kid. And I'm not sure what you know. So I'm just simply going to go, George, let's look at this word today. That's going to be your first spelling word. Is there anything hard for you here in the today?
Yes.
What's hard?
Well, that second sound.
The A?
Yeah, that's hard.
Or no, you mean the second sound, the O?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that is strange, isn't it? 2 should be like a double O, shouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you might not know that. You wouldn't say. So I'd say, okay, we'd underline it. Here I'm just going to darken, but you can just underline it. That's the hard. Are we okay with this? The A?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you know it was an AY?
It's well, I'm not sure what you're asking actually.
Okay. What I want to know is why isn't it a different A? How are you going to remember it's an AY?
Oh, well, it's got a tail.
Okay. So he had some phonics. Now let's say you didn't have phonics. How do you know it's an AY?
I've just seen that word before.
Perfect. Perfect. So this is our hard part today. Okay. All right. Next one. Yesterday. Is there any hard parts?
No.
Okay, good. Everything works pretty well there. How about the next word, weather?
Yeah. Why is there an A in it?
Yeah, that's strange. It's EA, right? You're okay with the there?
Yes.
Okay. So it's the EA that's a problem, weather. Okay. So we need to remember that this is an O in today. And here we got to remember that this is an EA. Is that something you remember, or do I need to give you a trick?
Give me a trick.
Oh, when bad weather, you eat inside. and it's the word eat. You see the word eat there? Okay. Will that help you?
Yes.
Good. All right. So next, anything hard?
Yeah. The G and the H.
Right. Okay. So we're underlining this. It's all one vowel, IGH. We'll underline that, color it. That's the hard part, the IGH. Okay. Yeah, that's tough. Do you need any memory device? Are you okay there?
I can just remember that.
You can remember your IGH? You sure? Okay. Gotcha. How about the next? Coast.
The A there.
Okay. So we got a combination of OA makes that hard. Coast. Okay. And you're all right with that? Can you remember that?
No.
You can't. Okay. All right. So sometimes when you're on the coast, you need a coat. Now, you know, coat is COAT. You can spell that. So that may help you COAT. You need a coat on the coast because it's cold. Does that help you, or should we try something else?
Let's try something else.
Okay. All right. When we're at the coast, I go, oh, a coast. Oh, a coast. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, a coast. Put that. Good. All right. Next. Spec. You sound this out. You know that, right? Spec.
Spectacular.
All right. Anything hard?
Nope.
Oh, good. How are you? How did you know this was an AR?
Oh, I guess that is hard.
Oh, AR is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cesar can also Cesar. Okay. So you're okay with spectacular. Okay, good. All right. How about the next? Rooster.
Rooster. I like it. I got that one.
How about argument?
Argument. I like that one.
Okay. How about expense?
Yeah. Why is there an E at the end of that?
That's a good question. Let's get rid of that E. It's a silent E and it doesn't even do, well, parents won't know this. So it's just a silent E. And that's something we got to remember. Is that something you can remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Last, answer.
W.
W. Now, parents and teachers, this is something you need to know. Anytime you can give a spelling pronunciation, how the word looks, it's better. So George, you all know that because you've done words like island, and to help the child, you call it island. Here, this is answer, and I would say, well, help to remember it, George, it's answer. Okay, let me show you how that's done. Quick footnote on the days of the week. So you have Sunday, which plays fair. You have Monday, because of that O. You have two S, doggone it, 2S day. You have Wednesday, which is, this, my computer's driving me nuts. Wednesday. Then you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's pretty much play fair, okay? But these have spelling pronunciations. Anytime you can give a spelling pronunciation, it's helpful, okay? So here's an example of answer. All right, George, let's take the hard ones. Now you're saying you know the other ones, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to worry about those yet. We're going to do this copy. So what was the hard part of here?
The O.
Okay, good. So on a sheet of paper, George would then trace this either with his pen or pencil. I'll take my pen and I'm George. I would go today. Okay. Then I'd have him cover it with his finger and then he would copy it. Or, not, he wouldn't cover it first. He would copy it. So trace, copy, and then he does it from memory. Okay. All right. Then we go to yesterday, which he knew, no problem. We then go to weather and say, this is the hard part. So let's trace it. So he takes his pen or pencil on paper. He traces it saying weather, just says the word weather. And then next to it, he copies it and then he covers it with his finger, covers the word and writes it. Flight, we highlight or underline the hard part. He copies it. I'll ask before even, I'll say, what's the hard part? IGH. He'll then trace it, cover or copy, and then cover and do it from memory. We'll do that with each of the hard words. Okay. Now that we've done that, I now will just quick give him a test. Okay. Because he says he knows these words, I need to find out if he does. So George, get a sheet of paper. You have anything accessible?
Sure. I can actually get a sheet of paper. Yeah. Okay.
Now, what's the hard part of today?
The O.
Okay, go ahead and write today.
Okay.
Spell yesterday. You know,
write it down.
Write it down. You know yesterday, so write it down. Weather, what's the hard part of weather?
The EA.
That's right. Go ahead and write weather. We have to eat inside when there's bad weather. Okay. Flight, what's the hard part of flight?
IGH.
Go ahead and write that. What's the hard part of coast?
OA.
How do we remember that?
OA coast.
Oh, coast. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, a coast. You can spell spectacular. You just need to remember it has an AR, right? Go ahead and do that. So what you see I'm doing is I'm taking the memory devices I've used. I'm going, the words he says he spells, I just have him spell. And then from there, I'll check to see if he can spell them or not. All right. Oh, rooster, you know how to spell. Just go ahead and spell it. So I may show the list when I point out what's the hard part, but when he goes to do it, I'll hide it. Okay. All right. You can spell argument too. Go ahead and do it. And expense. Now, what was the hard part of expense? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay. Remember it had an E?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It might help you to think of it's easy to have a large expense. That's real easy to do.
Okay.
That is E. And then how to remember answer? How do you spell it? And what?
Answer.
Good, answer. Okay. All right, let's check your spelling. Let's look at today. Let's check each sound as you go. Did you get that? Okay. I'll have you correct it. I'll watch. How'd you do on today?
I nailed it.
Okay. Let's follow yesterday. Yesterday. How do we do? Good. Weather. How do we do? Weather.
Yeah.
Remember the EA? How about
Yeah.
flight? Did we get the IGH?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Coast. Oh, a coast. You remember that, right?
Yep.
Spectacular. Did you remember the AR?
No, I didn't.
Oh, what'd you put?
I put ER.
ER. Okay. All right. We're going to remember that by saying, are you spectacular?
Yep.
Okay. Are you spectacular? So just put an AR, R at the end. Okay. Go ahead, cross that out. How are you going to remember that?
Are you spectacular?
So it has the R. Okay. Then what's the next?
Rooster.
Good. You got that. How about argument?
Yep.
Expense. Did you add the E?
It's easy having a big expense.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's easy, right? Haven't it? And then answer. How'd you remember that?
Answer.
All right. Show me your words. Great job. Okay, wonderful. So now parents can review by simply later on in the day or the next day saying, hey, what's the hard part of today? What's the hard part of weather? What's the hard part of flight? And he just tells you the hard part. That's a good review. But then each day I would do a quick trace copying from memory. Trace copy in memory. And then so you might do that a couple days a week. Another, just give the test to make sure it's staying. But you only want to spend 10 minutes max on this a day. The first time it's going to take about 20. But after that, about 10 minutes max a day till they do their post test. Then keep a list of these, and on a regular basis, just ask, hey, George, what's the hard part of expense?
The E.
E, and it's what to have an expense? It's
Easy.
how about coast? What's the hard part?
OA.
Yeah. So now I'm pretty quick with making up things. You're going to have to work on that. And the child can help you. But I've been doing this a long time, so they come quickly for me. So again, started with finding out what was the difficult part from the child. The child who has more phonics might say, well, this all plays fair, Mr. T. Yesterday. That's how you do and day. This I don't quite know because of the EA. I have learned IGH words, see? So a child will, you can just find out what the child knows by what's hard. Then again, once we got the hard ones, we trace, copy, and do from memory. Then we give a test on all. We quickly go through them, and that'll take 20, 25 minutes. And then 10 minutes a day after that. But anytime you can, like before he goes to bed, hey, what's the hard part in answer? Well, it's answer. Hey, what's the hard part in flight? Well, it's the IG. And they just tell you the hard part. You can do that at any point for a minute. Okay. But otherwise, you'll be doing copy, trace, and memory, or just dictating and doing the copy, trace, and memory for the problems, and get ready for Friday post test. And then keep these. So see, what'll happen is a lot of kids remember them on the post test, but never spell them right again. So keep these and occasionally include them in multiple and bigger tests. And you can make various games with them, like concentration, where you have, yeah, they match today, they match weather, they match, various things. So any questions on that? Kathleen, did that make sense to you?
Yes, it did, and it's great.
Yeah, and this is for somebody who doesn't know anything. They don't have to know anything as long as they follow this, because they can find out what the kid knows. Okay. Pam, how about you? Did that make sense? Yeah.
It did, and it's close to how you teach the spelling anyway.
Yeah, but you don't have to know anything, because what you want to find out is what the child knows. Now, if the child knows none of this, you're in big trouble, because that means they haven't had phonics and their word form area is not firing. And keep in mind, spelling's much harder. And the further you fall behind, the harder it is. So if you have a kid who can't even begin to recall these, it's just too many words, and you got to break them down to less words, and words that they're going to use in their writing. And that's going to be, the parent's going to have to find out what are the high frequency words the child needs, and only do a few and see if they can get a pass from the teacher on this test. But that's for the kid who doesn't have the phonics or the sight word ability.
Hey, Steve, for a second, can you discuss, so for a child who's been through our phonics program, is now moving up through the grades, and they're still getting these spelling tests, and the kid is kind of doing what you're asking, but not doing what you're doing. What are the key commands that you can say to a parent as they go through those lists? Because I heard you kind of knock them off, like it's go through the list, ask the child to say the word.
So what is the key points about?
Yeah, does it play fair? Does it not play fair? Gotcha. What parts don't play fair? Because kids who are in our program will have that language, right?
Well, yeah, but see, what I'm trying to do with a parent or kid who know nothing.
Right. So you did that. Now I want you to transfer to
our
kids.
Transfer it to our population. All right, let me go back to the list. George, you be the kid again. All right, George. In today, what's the hard part?
The O.
What should that be in two? How should that be spelled?
A double O.
Should be a double O, and day has a what on it, so that's easy.
A tail.
Good. So here it's a part that doesn't play fair. But it's like a word like I go to the park, right?
Right.
So we can remember it that way. Next word, is this a problem?
No.
No. This is a closed syllable, right?
Right.
Why do we have an ER there?
It's the best bet for the sound.
Yeah, then we have our tail here, so that's good. How about weather? Have you learned the yellows, George?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Do you see why that EA can play fair, but it's not your best bet.
Yep.
It's, E is your best bet, but EA would be your next. So just remember, it's yellow outside because of the bad weather. Maybe a hurricane's coming, okay? All right, flight. You've done yellow, so you also know about IGH, right?
Right.
Okay. And there's a lot of IGH words. Can you off the top of your head remember a couple more?
Fright,
Right?
light,
Night?
high.
Right. So this is just an IGH word. How about this? Coast. What's the hard part?
The A in there.
Right. Now OA is a what?
Is it a walker?
It's a walker. So it does, it's not your best bet. Normally our best bet is an O consonant E. But notice that we have two consonants. So that could be why it's an OA there instead. Okay. So is that something you need help, or can it just help that you're walking on the coast? It's a walker.
I get that.
Okay. How about the next?
Easy peasy,
Good.
except maybe the AR at the end of the word.
Well, but AR is after what letter?
L.
And we know that AR is your best bet for after an L. It's one
Right.
of those weird deals. So that is easy. Think of the L, and that's why it's an AR. Spectacular. All right, the next, is that hard or easy?
It's easy, but I guess why is it not a U there? For
Oh.
rooster.
Roo, okay? Rooster. Now,
Ooh, not you.
yeah. See, even words, you can sometimes have an oo sound like rule. But if it was rule, I would help you by pronouncing it rule. I'd give you a spelling pronunciation because double O's are best bet for oo. Okay. How about this? How's this? Any
I
problem?
got that.
Right. How about expense?
Yeah, why is there an E at the end of that one?
Because usually at the end of the word, if it's not a hungry, a double S, it's often spelled with an SE. It's just kind of regular, especially after consonants. But it's a kind of an obscure word. But SE is often spelled with an SE. Okay. So we'll remember that it's easy to have a big expense. This, how do you remember it?
Answer.
Okay, good. So let's take the hard words we have, and then I would have them, I'd go back, review. He would then trace, copy, and do from memory. The ones that he only had a few that were hard. Then after we do the few, I dictate the list. And if he does real well, then each day I do quick reviews of the hard words because the others are phonetic. Okay. All right. Steve, anything more on that? Did that make sense?
That was great. That little piece right there I thought was really interesting because it helps parents use the language that we're using.
Okay.
So that for a kid who's in fifth grade, he's got fifth grade words, he's on his word list probably are 3 or 4 that don't play fair and the rest probably play fairly fair. He just needs to work through them.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
Right.
All right. So thanks for coming this Wednesday. I will be off next Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's before Thanksgiving. So I guess we'll be on the phone.